You didn't choose it, but you were blasted off into a whole new life in an instant, wasn't it? Now everything kind of feels raw, up in the air, completely unsettling and impossible to make sense of. So you keep searching for all of the answers online, wondering, is this chaos ever going to end, or is this my new normal? So in this video, here's what you're going to discover. The real question behind when does it end? What's actually happening inside of your system? The 3 phases of integration, and then the 3 factors that determine the timeline of this awakening experience for you. So let's start as we mean to go on and ask, well, what's the real question then behind when does this Kundalini experience end? See, most people ask how long this awakening lasts, but time isn't really what they're afraid of. The deeper fear, what they're really asking, it's about permanence, isn't it? Will I ever feel normal again? See, because in this phase, everything familiar feels really foreign right now. Even your own body, your own emotions, there's like this void inside. You can't really predict what version of you is going to show up each morning. Like, am I going to be a completely anxious wreck? Or am I going to be blessed by this deep sense of inner peace? And then we might start searching online. And you see, searching online, well, that only starts to amplify the fear sometimes, doesn't it? Because some stories, they glorify awakening. And other times, you just see catastrophizing everywhere. Like, I've got Kundalini syndrome and it completely ruined my life. See, beneath the question of when or how long is really, did I do something wrong? And is this craziness that I'm experiencing ever going to stop? So what you're really asking isn't about time. Honestly, it's about whether you fucked it or not, and if you're ever going to feel normal again, isn't it? So before we dive into timelines, we're going to have to dispel some of the extremes. Because once that fear surfaces after this awakening experience, it's so easy to fall into the loudest voices online, isn't it? The ones that are promising bliss or to awaken your Kundalini before you've even finished your morning coffee. There are the other side of it, though, and there's ones that warn of lifelong chaos. But what I found is that neither is true. So what actually happens then? Well, some claim that awakening means that you've transcended suffering forever, and they're the ones that claim they've lost their ego in an instant. Others insist that you've completely ruined your nervous system and that your life is never going to be able to stabilize. And those are the ones that get stuck in victim. But both extremes do keep you stuck. One denies the path, and the other one denies your potential on the path, because if your nervous system is just shot, well, then that's the limit for you. You can't move forward. But the real truth, it lies dead in between them. Because yeah, awakening can be disruptive, and it usually is, but it is also a recalibration process. So your spiritual awakening, it doesn't doom you to chaos, and it doesn't really deliver you eternal bliss either, especially not at the start. But it does end in deep peace. And that's when the body, the mind, and the energy can finally come together in alignment. So let's see what's actually happening in your system so that we can understand this a little bit better for ourselves. See, if neither chaos or bliss is permanent, well then what's really going on in your body whilst everything feels so shaky and unstable? Well, your nervous system has been flooded with powerful amounts of energy, right? But this is like new voltage running through really outdated wiring. Circuits that used to hold only a mild amount of energy, well, they are now completely blown. They are completely overwhelmed. So naturally, emotional surges, insomnia, heat in the system can happen, but don't panic. Nothing's gone wrong. This is the beginning of the recognition, I think something needs to recalibrate here. See, the system is upgrading to handle more energy with less volatility with our sadhana. So that requires us to be active in the process of our sadhana. See, sadhana is your daily spiritual practice that trains our nervous system to be able to hold on to more energy without creating breaks. It's like upgrading that circuitry in the system that allows energy to run through it. So with sadhana, your nervous system is rewiring itself to be able to hold on to more energy. But this is why we need to get active in the process of our awakening journey now, because it wouldn't be responsible for me to say that that stuff doesn't require work. It does every single day. See, because once you have an awakening, especially a spontaneous one where there was no prep work done before it, well, then you're going to have a storehouse of karma that's going to return after the awakening experience. And this seems to happen in stages. And the first stage, I'm going to be honest with you, I've just named it overwhelm. There are going to be constant, strange nighttime experiences, energy rushes, sleeplessness, emotional volatility, and I don't think there's any way of getting away from that because you've kind of opened up Pandora's box and all of your inner demons start flying out. The second stage, this we'll call fluctuating. This is where energy is still moving. There's still breaks in the system kind of happening, but it's happening in a gentler way. And then old emotions start surfacing in a big way, which leads to the third stage, an identity crisis. This is where the ego or the identity tries to grab hold of the experience and identifies with our newfound energy that we've had with the Kundalini. But that leads to a spiritual ego because it's just trying to grab hold of anything it can to bring some certainty back. Now, there are more stages, but for now, let's leave it here because if you recognize these, then you are exactly who I want to be talking to here for this video. See, old patterns, that storehouse of karma, start rearing their ugly head again and again and again, and it may feel like you aren't making any progress at all. But this is a necessary healing phase after the eruption of the Kundalini, which, yes, does open up that storehouse of karma. So now let's talk about the 3 factors that determine how long this is going to take for you. See, if the destination is peace, and our intention is actually to uproot and heal all of these tendencies or that karma, then why do some people get there faster and other people stay in that chaos for years? Because you see it, don't you? You see them online. I've been in this mess for 12 years and I don't know what I'm doing. Well, this might be it. Because a nervous system that is trained recovers, not like it's something to recover from, but recovers a lot more quickly than one that is stuck in constant fight and flight, which really, I imagine, just means the mind is projecting a lot of fear into this experience and we're just panicking a lot. And that's why sadhana becomes so vital. And so does a little bit of self-responsibility so that you can have a little bit of self-determination on this path to keep bringing yourself to the mat. Because consistency builds our capacity to hold on to more energy and therefore allows us to integrate and returns us to more peace. But now here's something key, because surrendering to the process speeds up our healing far more than trying to fix it ever will, because you can't fix it. It's happened. You can't put Pandora's back in Pandora's box, so to speak. But remember, surrendering to the process is not avoidantly saying, let go and let God, I trust life, and then going back to our old ways. No. Surrendering is an active process, and it means this. I'm surrendering into that which I've just been initiated into by life. And what that means is I've just had an experience and now I need to come into an alignment with that which that experience requires of me. And that is to find a good teacher that knows what's going on inside of you. That's to get good people around you that have understood what's happened to you and that are able to help you or at least make you feel some form of comfort or belonging in some way, shape or form, and they don't completely reject you for what's going on. And you need to find a practice. See, because for some of us, it's not about returning to balance that we want. Of course, that's a necessary stage, but some of us want to go even deeper on the path and we want to realize and stabilize in our true nature. And for that, you need a step-by-step process to finally make sense of your awakening. And if that is something that interests you, then there's a few resources down below this video, which I think will help you. So then let's talk about the identity rebuild that is naturally going to happen. Because even when the energies inside of your system start to settle, something deeper still feels really uncertain. Like, who are you now that everything old is dissolving? Because awakening, it dismantles your sense of me, that separate psychological one, that separate psychological sense of self in the mind. And that leaves us with the question then, well, who am I? What is real? Because you can't return to the old identity because it was built around seeming safety, wasn't it? Not truth. But this, in the interim, whilst that identity no longer serves us, can create a bit of a void. Now, this loss feels like a death, and typically this does come with a dark night of the soul or a spiritual depression. They're the same thing, just with different terminologies. And man, it hurts so bad because you're asked to let go of what was you, that identity. But it is a merciful deconstruction because that sense of safety that we had in the you, in the identity, it was an illusion because we've been brainwashed by the world to believe that our sense of safety and security is in ourselves, but this separate sense of self. Now, ego is going to continue to rise and fall for a long time, and new identities are going to try and form around different phenomena. When I say phenomena, I mean emotions, ego, energies or energetic states. And the reason that's happening is because identifying with something gives us this feeling, it's false, but this feeling of safety. It gives me. I'm something in the world. But then to refine this is now the work. And this is much subtler and a much longer term refinement. But at that stage, the Kundalini chaos is no longer happening, so you won't have to worry about that there. That's really only for those who are going for enlightenment. So to sum it up, you're not losing yourself. You're just reconstructing who you are around your true nature. Not what was safe before, well, seemingly safe before, which was an identity. And as we lose those, ultimately, that leads to our own liberation and returns us to that blissful state of being that we attained or saw a glimpse of in our Kundalini experience. So if you're in this phase and you want a structured path to finally make sense of your spiritual awakening, then by all means, come and join us in the Freedom Blueprint. And the link for that is just below this video. So now that you're no longer fearing the chaos of your awakening, thanks to this video, and you understand what's really happening in your system, then what do you do when your old sense of self starts falling apart and nothing stable yet is there to support you underneath it? Well, in the next video, we're going to explore what it actually means to lose your identity, why that feels so disorienting, and how this unraveling is actually the first real glimpse of who you truly are. So, there's nothing to fear, and if you want more certainty around this, then watch that one right there.